3 weeks after my son's wedding, the photographer called me at midnight. "Mrs. Harrison," she whispered, "I found something disturbing in the photos. You need to come to my studio tomorrow morning. Come alone. Please don't tell your son." My hand trembled on the phone. "What did you find?" "I can't explain over the phone." "But Mrs. Harrison." "It's bad. Really bad." Before I could respond, I heard footsteps outside my bedroom door. My daughter Michelle's voice carried through the hallway, loud on her phone. "Yeah, Mom looks suspicious lately. But don't worry, Tyler and I can stretch this another year. By then she'll cave and buy us that house just to get us out. It's foolproof." I pressed the phone closer to my ear, heart pounding. The photographer continued. "Tomorrow, 9 a.m. My studio downtown. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Harrison. But you need to see this." She hung up. I sat in the darkness of my bedroom, phone still pressed against my ear, staring at the family photo on my nightstand. My son David in his tuxedo, radiant smile, standing next to his bride Elizabeth. 4 weeks ago. $78,000 I'd spent on that perfect day. Something very disturbing in the photographs. Through my bedroom wall, Michelle's laugh pierced the silence. "She has no idea. This is the easiest money we've ever made." I turned off my bedside lamp and lay in the darkness, knowing sleep wouldn't come. Whatever that photographer had found, it would explain everything. The hollow feeling I'd carried since the wedding. The way David had looked at me when I'd handed him that check. The way Elizabeth had smiled, that smile that never quite reached her eyes. Tomorrow morning I'd know the truth. Tonight I'd lie awake in my own home, listening to my daughter plot against me, and wonder how everything had gone so wrong. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you're listening from in the comments.
Every story deserves to be heard. Subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Your voice keeps the past alive.
My name is Margaret Harrison. I'm 68 years old. I built Harrison and Associates Financial Consulting from nothing. Just me and a laptop in my garage 35 years ago. Now we have offices in Seattle, Portland, and San Francisco. 80 employees. Revenue that makes my accountant smile. I earned every dollar. My husband Robert died 8 years ago. Heart attack. Sudden. One day we were planning our retirement cruise. The next day I was planning his funeral. The house in Bellevue felt enormous after he was gone. 7 bedrooms, pool, guest house, view of Lake Washington. Too much space for one person. But I stayed. This was our home. Our dream. I wasn't giving it up just because I was alone. I had 2 children. David, my eldest at 36. Investment analyst at a downtown firm. Smart, ambitious, everything a mother could want. And Michelle, 32. My baby girl. Divorced 3 years ago, temporarily staying with me while she got back on her feet. Temporarily had become permanent. Michelle moved into the guest house with Tyler, her boyfriend of 2 years. No rent. No end date. Just, "Mom, I just need a little time to figure things out." 3 years later they were still there. Tuesday morning, October 15th. That's when everything started unraveling. I was in my home office reviewing quarterly reports when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. "Mrs. Harrison." A woman's voice, shaking slightly. "This is Jennifer Cole. I photographed your son's wedding last month." "Oh yes, Jennifer. The photos were beautiful. We were very pleased." Silence. Then, "Mrs. Harrison, I need to see you. Alone. It's urgent." Something in her tone made my stomach drop. "What's wrong?" "I can't explain over the phone. But I found something in the photographs. Something you need to see immediately. Can you come to my studio tomorrow morning? 9 a.m. "Jennifer, you're scaring me. What did you find? Please, just come." "And Mrs. Harrison," she paused. "Don't tell your son." "Not yet." The line went dead. I sat staring at my computer screen, but the numbers blurred. Something in the photographs. Something she couldn't tell me over the phone. Something I couldn't tell David. "Mom." Michelle's voice exploded from somewhere in the house. Mom, we need to talk about money. Closed my eyes. Not now. She appeared in my doorway, phone in one hand, shopping bags in the other. Did you hear me? I need money for new furniture. The guest house looks like a college dorm. It's embarrassing when my friends visit. The guest house I was letting her live in for free. The guest house with a full kitchen, 2 bedrooms, bathroom with a jetted tub. Michelle, we'll discuss it later. Later. You always say later. Tyler and I have been talking. We think $5,000 should cover it. Maybe $7,000 to do it right. I looked at my daughter. Really looked at her. $7,000. Delivered like she was asking to borrow my car. I said we'll discuss it later. You know, some mothers actually want their children to be comfortable. Some mothers actually care. She turned and left. Her footsteps echoed down the hallway. A door slammed somewhere in the house. I turned back to my computer, but Jennifer's call circled my thoughts. Something in the photographs. Something disturbing. The wedding had been perfect, hadn't it? September 14th at the Botanical Gardens. Reception at that luxury resort overlooking the Sound. Everything elegant, tasteful, expensive. David had been so happy. Elizabeth had been radiant in her designer gown. $78,000 I'd spent. Worth every penny to see my son happy. What could possibly be wrong with the photographs? The rest of the day crawled forward. I tried focusing on work, client portfolios, investment strategies. My mind kept wandering back to Jennifer's trembling voice. Around 6 p.m., Tyler wandered into my office. He never knocked. Just walked in like he owned the place. Hey, Maggie. He'd started calling me that 6 months ago. Hated it. Michelle told me you're being weird about the furniture money. Tyler, I'm working. He leaned against my doorframe, arms crossed. 40 years old, no steady job, living off Michelle's allowance. Which meant living off me. Look, $7,000 isn't that much for you, right? I mean, you've got this huge place. Business is good. Just help us out. Keep Michelle happy. Closed my laptop slowly. Tyler, this is my office. I'd like you to leave. He raised his hands in mock surrender. Whoa, okay. Didn't mean to upset you. Just trying to help Michelle out. You know how she gets when she's stressed. He left, but his presence lingered like smoke. I stood and walked to my window. Below, the guest house sat at the edge of the property. Lights on. I could see Michelle moving around inside. Phone pressed to her ear, animated gestures. 3 years. 3 years of free housing. Free utilities. Free everything. And now they wanted $7,000 for furniture. My phone buzzed. Text from David. Hi, Mom. Can I stop by tomorrow afternoon? Want to discuss something important. I typed back. Of course, sweetheart. Everything okay? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Yeah, all good. Just need your advice on something. See you around 3. I set the phone down, uneasy. David never asked for advice. He prided himself on being independent, self-sufficient. Whatever he wanted to discuss, it was serious. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the house settle around me. Somewhere below, Michelle and Tyler were watching TV. Their laughter carried up through the vents. Jennifer's call played on repeat in my mind. Something disturbing in the photographs. I got up around midnight, went to my office, pulled up the wedding album on my computer. Jennifer had sent digital copies. Clicked through them slowly. David and Elizabeth at the altar. Exchanging vows. First kiss as husband and wife. Reception entrance. First dance. Cake cutting. Toast. Everything looked perfect. What was I missing? I zoomed in on faces. David's groomsmen. Elizabeth's bridesmaids. The guest. Everyone smiling. Everyone happy. Nothing. I saw nothing wrong. But Jennifer had seen something. Something bad enough to call me at midnight. Something she couldn't explain over the phone. I closed the laptop and returned to bed, but sleep never came. The next morning would bring answers. I just didn't know yet how much I'd wish I'd never asked the questions. I left the house at 8:15 a.m. Didn't want questions from Michelle. Didn't want Tyler asking where I was going with that look he got. Like everything I did required his approval in my own home. Jennifer's studio was in downtown Seattle, near Pike Place Market. A converted warehouse space with exposed brick and industrial windows. Her name on a brass plaque beside the door. Jennifer Cole Photography. I sat in my car for 5 minutes, staring at that plaque. Whatever was inside would change things. I knew it would. I just didn't know how. At exactly 9 a.m., I walked through the door. The studio smelled like coffee and paper. Photographs lined the walls. Weddings, families, portraits. All beautiful. All professional. Jennifer met me immediately. "Mrs. Harrison. Thank you for coming." She looked younger than I remembered from the wedding. Mid-30s maybe. Anxious eyes. Nervous hands that kept adjusting her glasses. "Jennifer, please just show me." She nodded and led me through the gallery to a back room. Computer equipment everywhere. Large monitor dominating one wall. The window overlooked an alley. She locked the door behind us. "Mrs. Harrison, I need you to understand. I didn't go looking for this. I was reviewing the photos for a portfolio piece when I noticed something. I almost didn't call you. I went back and forth for 3 days. But if I were in your position, I'd want to know." My throat tightened. "Show me." She sat at her computer. I remained standing, hands gripping the back of her chair. Her fingers moved across the keyboard. The monitor filled with wedding images. The ceremony. David and Elizabeth at the altar. Guests watching. Everything I'd seen before. "These are the standard shots," Jennifer said softly. "What everyone saw at the wedding." She clicked to another folder. But I arrived early that day. 3 hours before the ceremony. I wanted to set up equipment, test lighting, scout locations. Another click. The resort has gardens. Beautiful spaces. I was walking through, testing camera angles, when I saw Elizabeth. The image appeared. My hands tightened on the chair. Elizabeth. My son's bride. In her wedding dress. Not fully buttoned yet, but clearly the dress. Standing in a secluded garden alcove with a man. Not David. A man in casual clothes, jeans and a polo shirt. They were pressed together. Kissing. Her hands in his hair. His hands on her waist. Not a friendly goodbye. Not a familial embrace. Intimate. Passionate. Deliberate. When? My voice came out hoarse. When was this taken? Jennifer pulled up technical data. 3 hours before the ceremony. 11:47 a.m. The ceremony started at 3 p.m. I leaned closer to the screen. Studied the man's face. 30s. Attractive. Confident. I'd never seen him before. "There are more," Jennifer said quietly. She clicked forward. Different angles. Same scene. Elizabeth and this stranger. In one photo you could see both their faces clearly. Elizabeth was smiling. Actually smiling. Happy. 3 hours before marrying my son. "Do you know who he is?" My voice sounded distant. "No. He wasn't on the guest list." Checked every name. I reviewed all the ceremony and reception photos. He never appeared again. Just these shots from the garden. She pulled up another image. Zoomed in. The man's left hand was visible, resting on Elizabeth's hip. Gold ring. Wedding band. He was married. I straightened slowly. The room tilted. I grabbed the desk for balance. "Mrs. Harrison, sit. Please." Jennifer guided me to a chair. I sat heavily, stared at the images on the screen. My son's bride. 3 hours before the wedding. With a married man. "Can you prove the timing?" Finally asked. "Absolutely prove it." "Yes." Jennifer opened another window. Showed me metadata. GPS coordinates matching the resort location. Timestamps down to the second. File information. Digital signatures. "This is forensic-level evidence, Mrs. Harrison. It would hold up in any court. I can provide you with everything. The photos, the technical documentation, chain of custody records. She reached into her desk and pulled out a flash drive. It's all here. Multiple copies. I kept everything secure. I took the flash drive, closed my fist around it. Jennifer. Why did you call me? Why not just delete these and move on? She met my eyes. Something sad in her expression. Because that woman collected $200,000 in wedding gifts at that reception. I was there. I saw the gift table. I heard her laughing about how generous everyone was. And the whole time, she gestured to the screen. The whole time this existed. $200,000. The number hit me like a physical blow. I'm a photographer, Jennifer continued. I capture moments. Truth. This is truth. I couldn't just delete it and pretend it didn't happen. If you were being deceived, you deserved to know. I stood slowly. Thank you. I mean that. You did the right thing. I'm sorry, Mrs. Harrison. Truly. Don't be. You gave me the truth. That's more than my family has done. The drive back to Bellevue passed in a fog. I gripped the steering wheel and stared at the road, but my mind was elsewhere. Elizabeth had been cheating on David. Not cold feet. Not last-minute doubts. Active betrayal. 3 hours before the wedding. With a married man. And then she'd walked down that aisle, smiled at my son, said those vows, and collected $200,000 in gifts. Why marry David at all? The question burned. If she was involved with someone else, someone she was clearly intimate with, why go through with a $78,000 wedding? Why take those vows? Why smile in those photos? Unless the vows didn't matter. Unless the money did. My phone rang. I let it go to voicemail. Immediately a text. Mom, where are you? Need to talk about the furniture thing. Tyler found a great deal, but we need to move fast. I deleted it without responding. I pulled into my driveway around 11 a.m. The house looked the same as when I'd left. Same manicured landscaping. Same security lights. Same everything. But I wasn't the same. I walked inside. Tyler was sprawled across my leather recliner, Robert's chair. Beer in hand at 11 in the morning, some talk show blaring. He didn't look up. Hey Maggie. Grab me another beer while you're up. Stop. Stared at him. This man. In my house. In my late husband's chair. Ordering me to bring him beer. Something inside me shifted. I walked past him without responding. Climbed the stairs to my office. Closed the door. Locked it. The flash drive sat in my pocket, heavy as a stone. David was coming at 3 p.m. to discuss something important. I had 4 hours to figure out what to say to him. 4 hours to decide if I should destroy his marriage on the day it had barely begun. 4 hours to figure out what the hell to do with the truth. David arrived at exactly 3 p.m. Punctual as always. I heard his car in the driveway. Watched from my office window as he walked to the front door. Confident stride. Expensive suit. My successful son. I met him in the living room. Tyler had finally vacated my husband's chair, disappearing back to the guest house. Hi, Mom. David hugged me. Warm. Genuine. Or was it? Everything felt suspicious now. How's married life? I tried to keep my voice light. Good. Really good. He sat on the couch. Looked around the room like he was appraising it. Elizabeth loves the condo. We're settling in nicely. The condo I'd helped with. $50,000 down payment. My wedding gift to them. That's wonderful, sweetheart. So what did you want to discuss? He leaned forward. Clasped his hands. Mom, Elizabeth and I have been talking about our future. We want to buy a house. Start a family. But the market is competitive right now. Here it comes, I thought. We found the perfect place in Kirkland. 4 bedrooms, water view, amazing neighborhood. But we need to move fast. The thing is... He paused. Rehearsed pause. We need help with the down payment. $80,000. I felt my face freeze into a neutral expression. $80,000. I know it's a lot. But it's an investment, really. The house will appreciate. And you'd be helping us start our family properly. After everything you spent on the wedding, this is just the next step. After everything I spent on the wedding. Like it was assumed. Like my money was his money. David, that's a significant amount. Mom, I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. Elizabeth and I have a whole plan. We want kids soon. We need space. This house is perfect for grandchildren. He smiled. Warm. Manipulative. Don't you want grandchildren? The flash drive sat in my desk drawer upstairs. Photos of his wife kissing another man. 3 hours before the wedding. Let me think about it, I said carefully. His smile faltered. Think about it. Mom, this isn't, we need to move quickly. The market won't wait. I said I'll think about it. He stood. Frustration barely contained. You know, Michelle warned me you've been acting strange lately. I didn't believe her. But maybe she's right. Michelle talks about me. She's worried. We both are. You seem different. Paranoid almost. Is everything okay with the business? I stood too. The business is fine. I'm fine. I just need time to consider a request for $80,000. He grabbed his keys. Fine. But don't take too long. This house won't last. He walked to the door, paused. Elizabeth really loves it, Mom. I thought you'd want to help us. After he left, I stood in the living room for several minutes. The house felt different. Wrong somehow. Like the walls were closing in. $80,000. Delivered like a casual request. Like I was an ATM, not his mother. I went upstairs to my office. Pulled out the flash drive. Plugged it into my laptop. Stared at those photos again. Elizabeth and the stranger. Passionate. Intimate. Happy. 3 hours before collecting $200,000 in wedding gifts. 3 hours before saying vows to my son. My phone buzzed. Text from Michelle. Did David talk to you? We're all concerned. You're acting weird. Maybe you should see someone. They'd coordinated. Planned this. Michelle and David both pushing. Both concerned. Both wanting money. I opened a new browser window. Typed. Seattle family attorney specializing in fraud. The first result. Catherine Morrison, Morrison and Associates. 30 years experience. Estate protection. Financial fraud investigation. Her office had an opening tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. I made the appointment. Then I sat back and looked at my closed office door. Beyond it, Michelle was probably still in the guest house. Tyler was probably on my couch again. Both comfortable. Both confident. Both expecting me to cave. David was probably at home, telling Elizabeth about his difficult mother. How she was being unreasonable. How she'd come around eventually because she always did. They were all wrong. Tomorrow I'd start protecting myself. Tonight I'd document everything. I opened a new document on my laptop and started typing. Timeline. Evidence. Quotes. Dollar amounts. Every detail I could remember from the past 3 years. Michelle's demands. Tyler's presence. David's request. Elizabeth's collection of gifts. The pattern was clear once I started writing it down. I'd been funding my own exploitation for years. That night I couldn't sleep again. I lay in bed, listening to music from the guest house. Michelle and Tyler having a party. On a Wednesday. In my property. Around 2 a.m., I heard Michelle's voice through the window. She was outside on the phone thinking I was asleep. No, she didn't agree to the furniture money yet. She's being difficult. No. David said she was weird with him too about the house thing. What? No, she won't actually say no. She never does. We just have to wait her out. Yeah, Tyler thinks maybe 1 more month and then we push for the condo. She'll buy us one just to get rid of US. After. It's perfect. Easiest money ever. I lay in the darkness, listening to my daughter plot against me, and felt something fundamental break inside. Easiest money ever. Got up. Went to my office. Added Michelle's phone conversation to my document. Word for word what I could remember. Then I opened my banking app. Looked at my accounts. My assets. Everything I'd built over 35 years. All of it accessible to my children. All of it assumed. All of it taken for granted. I thought about Robert, my husband. What would he say if he could see this? His children treating me like a resource. His guest house occupied by freeloaders. His chair, his favorite chair, claimed by a man who ordered me to bring him beer. Robert would be furious. I pulled up Catherine Morrison's website again. Read her bio. Awards, credentials, specialties. Protecting seniors from financial exploitation. Estate defense. Family fraud investigation. Family fraud. That's what this was. My own children defrauding me. Slowly. Systematically. For years. Tomorrow I'd meet with Catherine Morrison. Tomorrow I'd start fighting back. Tonight I documented everything. Wrote it down. Made it real. Made it evidence. In the guest house, the music finally stopped around 3 a.m. I kept writing until dawn. Catherine Morrison's office was in downtown Seattle. Glass and steel building, 40th floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Puget Sound. Expensive art on the walls. Success. She met me in her corner office. Late 50s, silver hair, sharp eyes, firm handshake. Mrs. Harrison, please sit. Can I offer you coffee? Yes, thank you. Black. She poured from a French press. Real coffee, not the cheap stuff. We sat across from each other, her massive desk between us. I reviewed the intake form you filled out online, she said. You mentioned concerns about financial exploitation by family members. Tell me everything. Start wherever makes sense. Pulled out my folder. The one I'd organized at 4 a.m. Timeline. Evidence. Documentation. 4 weeks ago, I paid for my son's wedding. $78,000. 2 days ago, the photographer showed me pictures of my daughter-in-law with another man. 3 hours before the ceremony, I slid the flash drive across her desk. Catherine inserted it into her computer. Clicked through the images. Her expression didn't change, but I saw her jaw tighten. The metadata is included, I continued. GPS coordinates, timestamps, everything. It's forensic quality evidence. And you believe this was? She paused, choosing words carefully. Premeditated fraud. Yesterday my son asked me for $80,000. For a house down payment. Same day my daughter, who's been living in my guest house for 3 years rent-free, asked for $7,000 for furniture. Last night, I overheard her on the phone saying they'd wait me out, and then push for me to buy them a condo. I slid my handwritten documentation across the desk. It's all here. 3 years of requests, demands, assumptions that my money is their money. Catherine read through my notes carefully, making notations, circling dates, underlining amounts. Mrs. Harrison, let me be direct. What do you want to achieve here? I want my life back. I want Michelle out of my house. I want to protect my assets. I want to ensure that when I die, they don't inherit everything I built while treating me like this. She nodded. Understood. Let's address each issue. First, the house. In Washington state, property law is clear. If there's no rental agreement, and you've indicated there isn't, you have the right to terminate their occupancy. 30 days written notice. Michelle has been there 3 years. Can she fight this? Not successfully. Without a lease, she's essentially a guest who's overstayed. Washington law protects property owners. The 30-day notice is a formality, not a negotiation. Something loosened in my chest. And my assets. Catherine pulled a legal volume from her shelf. This is where we discuss an irrevocable trust. We transfer your assets, house, business, investments, into a trust structure. You maintain full control during your lifetime. But after death, distribution follows your explicit instructions. It's much harder to challenge than a will. How much harder? A will can be contested on numerous grounds. Undue influence, lack of capacity, improper execution. But an irrevocable trust, established while you're clearly competent and acting freely. That's a different legal standard entirely. Nearly impossible to break. She opened her laptop, started typing. My fees for this work, eviction notice, trust creation, and estate protection, will be $12,000. The trust alone typically runs $8,000, but given the connected nature of your situation, I can offer a comprehensive package. I'd spent $78,000 on a fraudulent wedding. Another $50,000 on a condo down payment for a sham marriage. Tens of thousands more over 3 years supporting Michelle and Tyler. That's acceptable. Catherine pulled up documents. I'll draft the eviction notice by end of day tomorrow. You'll serve it this weekend. I recommend doing it personally so there's no question of receipt. After service, the 30-day clock starts. If they refuse to vacate, we file for legal removal. And the trust. 2 to 3 weeks for complete transfer. I'll coordinate directly with your financial institutions. I'll need current statements for all accounts, property deeds, business ownership documents. She slid a contract across her desk. This engagement agreement outlines scope of work, fees, and timeline. Review it carefully. I read every word. Years of business had taught me that. Everything Catherine had promised, formalized in legal language. Sign. Catherine countersigned. Mrs. Harrison, I need to be clear about something. This will likely permanently damage your relationship with your children. Once you serve that eviction notice, once they discover the trust structure, there's no walking this back. You need to be absolutely certain. I thought about Michelle's phone conversation. Easiest money ever. David's entitled request for $80,000. Elizabeth kissing another man 3 hours before the wedding. I'm certain. Then we're clear. I'll call you tomorrow when the documents are ready. We shook hands. Longer this time. Something passed between us. Understanding. I left her office with copies of everything. The contract, timeline, trust structure summary, legal documents that meant one simple thing. I was taking my life back. In the parking garage, I sat in my car with the documents on the passenger seat. My phone buzzed. Text from David. Mom, have you thought about the house money? Elizabeth is getting anxious. We might lose it. I looked at the message. $80,000 for a house his wife would live in while cheating on him. Probably planning to divorce him once they'd collected enough assets. I deleted the text. Started my car. Headed home to a house that would be mine again in 31 days. The envelope arrived Friday afternoon. Catherine's return address. Heavy paper. Official seal. I set it on my desk and stared at it for 2 hours. By 6 p.m. I was ready. I could hear Michelle and Tyler in the guest house. Music. Laughter. Friday evening celebrating something. Probably celebrating me. I picked up the envelope and walked across the yard. Knocked on the guest house door. Michelle answered, wine glass in hand. Surprised. Mom. What's up? I need to give you something. Tyler appeared behind her. Hey Maggie. Want to join us? We're celebrating. Celebrating what? Tyler got a job interview, Michelle said. Proud. Finally things are turning around. I handed her the envelope. This is for both of you. She opened it. Pulled out the document. Read the heading. Notice of termination of occupancy. Her face drained of color. Mom, what is this? Eviction notice. You have 30 days to find other housing. Tyler grabbed the paper. Scanned it. Have you lost your mind? You can't just kick us out. It's my property. You have no lease. Washington law is very clear. Michelle's wine glass slipped from her hand. Shattered on the floor. Red wine spreading across white tile. Mom, I'm your daughter. You can't throw me out like I'm nothing. You've lived here 3 years without paying rent. Without contributing. Without respecting me. Time to grow up. Tyler stepped forward. Aggressive. Everyone will know what kind of mother you are. Throwing out your own kid. You'll be a pariah. The notice is legal. 30 days. Start packing. I turned and walked back to the main house. Behind me chaos erupted. Michelle wailing. Tyler shouting. Kept walking. Reached my house. Went inside. Locked the door with an audible click. Through the windows I could see them in the guest house. Michelle on her phone. Animated. Upset. Tyler pacing. Gesturing. My phone buzzed. Text from David. Michelle just called. What the hell is going on? You're evicting her. Then another. Mom, call me now. We need to talk about this. I turned off my phone. 30 days had begun. The weekend was war. Saturday morning Michelle appeared at my door. A swollen. Voice weak. Mom, I can't breathe. My heart is racing. The stress from this is making me sick. I think I'm having a heart attack. Tyler hovered behind her. Protective. Concerned. Both playing their roles. I looked at them for a long moment. There's a hospital 3 miles away. I suggest you go there if you're truly having a medical emergency. Michelle's expression shifted. The sick act dropped. You're really doing this? You're really kicking us out? Yes. I'll tell everyone. Everyone will know what kind of monster you are. Tell whoever you want. The eviction stands. Closed the door. Locked it. Sunday afternoon, Tyler cornered me in my garage. Blocked my path to my car. You know what people are going to say, right? Aggressive tone. Face too close. That you threw out your pregnant daughter. Michelle isn't pregnant. His jaw clenched. You don't know that. You don't care about anyone but yourself and your money. Move, Tyler. Make me old woman. We stood there. 10 seconds. 20. His fists clenched. My hand on my phone ready to call police. Finally he stepped aside. Got in my car. Drove away. Spent 3 hours at a coffee shop, being anywhere but home. When I returned that evening, an envelope sat on my kitchen counter. Proposal written across the front in Tyler's handwriting. Opened it. Business investment opportunity. Details. Tyler has a plan for a mobile car detailing business. Initial investment required. $45,000. Terms. Michelle and Tyler remain in residence. Pay rent of $300 per month. Repay investment within 5 years. This solves everything. Family stays together. Everyone wins. $45,000. Up from the $7,000 for furniture. Desperation inflating the numbers. I walked to the guest house. They were waiting. Hopeful. I handed the proposal back. No. Michelle's face crumpled. Mom, we're trying to compromise. No. You're being unreasonable. 29 days. I returned to my house. Monday and Tuesday passed in similar fashion. Michelle alternating between tears and threats. Tyler between intimidation and bargaining. I maintained my routine. Work. Office. Meals alone. They became background noise. Wednesday evening my doorbell rang. David stood on my porch. Elizabeth beside him. Both dressed nicely. Serious expressions. Mom, we're here to talk. As family. I let them in. Curious what performance they'd stage. We sat in the living room. Elizabeth on the couch, perfect posture, practiced concern on her face. David next to her, solid diplomatic. Mom, David started. Michelle called us. She's devastated. We're all worried about you. Worried how? Elizabeth leaned forward. Margaret, you've been through so much. Losing Robert. Managing the business alone. This big house. It's a lot for one person. There it was. The script. Have you thought about downsizing? David continued. Maybe a nice condo. Something manageable. Selling this house. The market is strong, Elizabeth said. Muth. Rehearsed. Houses in Bellevue are getting top dollar. You could sell, downsize, and have significant cash too. Help everyone. Help everyone. Code for give us money. We'd help you move, of course, David added. And whatever proceeds you get, it would be nice to share with family. Help Michelle get settled. Help Elizabeth and me with our house. Everyone benefits. Understood. I'm not selling my house. David's expression hardened slightly. Mom, be reasonable. You don't need this much space. Thank you for your concern. Good night. Mom. Good night, David. They left, confused, angry. Elizabeth's mask slipping for just a moment as she walked past me. Closed the door. Locked it. Leaned against it. They wanted the house. Not inheritance someday. Wanted me to sell it and distribute the money. I grabbed my phone. Called Catherine Morrison. I need to accelerate everything. They're coordinating against me. Trying to get me to sell the house. Come to my office tomorrow morning. 9 a.m. We'll expedite the trust creation. That night I barely slept. Through the walls I could hear voices. Michelle. Taylor. David's car had returned. I'd heard it in the driveway. They were planning something. I was planning too. Tomorrow I'd transfer everything to the trust. Everything they assumed was theirs would be protected. Let them plot. I had 28 days to finish this. And I was just getting started. The trust documents were finalized on day 15. Catherine called me at 9 a.m. Mrs. Harrison, everything is complete. Your house, business interests, and financial accounts are now protected under irrevocable trust structure. I'm also changing all your account beneficiaries. Your children are being removed entirely. How quickly can we do that? I'm doing it now. I have your authorization from our agreement. By end of day, everything will be restructured. Thank you, Catherine. One more thing. I think it's time to confront your son about his wife. The photographer's evidence is solid. He deserves to know the truth. I've been thinking the same thing. 15 days of watching this play out. 15 days of David's calls demanding I reconsider Michelle's eviction. 15 days of Elizabeth's concerned texts about my mental health. I'll invite them to dinner, I said. This Sunday. Along with Michelle and Tyler. Are you sure? It could get explosive. I'm sure. Saturday I sent the invitations. Text to David. Family dinner tomorrow. 6 p.m. Important. Please bring Elizabeth. Text to Michelle. Dinner tomorrow. 6 p.m. You and Tyler. We need to discuss the housing situation. Both confirmed immediately. Hopeful. Thinking I was caving. They had no idea. Sunday, I set the dining room table with my good china. The china Robert and I had received as wedding gifts. Plates we'd used for celebrations. Holidays. Important occasions. This qualified as important. And my place setting I put a manila folder. Face down. They arrived at 5:55. David and Elizabeth first. Michelle and Tyler right behind them. All dressed nicely. All coordinated. All expecting me to announce I'd changed my mind. I served dinner. Roasted chicken. Vegetables. Simple food. This wasn't about hospitality. We ate in near silence for 10 minutes. The tension was suffocating. Finally David spoke. Mom, thank you for bringing us together. We've all been concerned. Michelle is going through a hard time. Maybe we can work out a compromise. Before we discuss that, I said calmly, there's something you should see. I picked up the manila folder. Slid it across to David. What is this? Photographs from your wedding. Particularly interesting are the shots taken 3 hours before the ceremony. Elizabeth's face went white. Actually white. David opened the folder. I watched his face change as he processed the first image. Then the second. His hands started shaking. Where did you get these? The photographer found them while reviewing her work. That's your wife, David. 3 hours before marrying you. With another man. Elizabeth stood abruptly. Those are fake. Photoshop. This is. They're not fake, I said quietly. The metadata is included. GPS coordinates. Timestamps. Forensic level evidence. Your photographer kept everything. David was still staring at the photos. His face had gone from confusion to horror to something else. Something harder. Elizabeth. his voice barely audible. What is this? David, I can explain. Who is he? Silence. Who is he? Someone I knew before. It was just goodbye. It didn't mean. Cut in. I also overheard an interesting phone conversation. Michelle, would you like to tell your brother what you said? About the wedding gifts. Michelle's eyes went wide. I don't know what. Let me quote. 2 more months and she files for divorce. Half the gifts are legally hers. Sam already agreed to split everything. Oh wait, that wasn't you. That was David's wife talking to you. David turned to Elizabeth slowly. What is she talking about? Elizabeth's mask was completely gone now. David, it's not, we can work this out. You plan to divorce me. From the beginning. Not from the beginning, just. How long? Tyler stood up. This is insane. You're making things up because you want to justify. Sit down, I said. Voice like ice. Tyler sat. I pulled out more documents. Bank statements. I also discovered that you and Elizabeth opened a joint account 2 months before the wedding. Specifically to deposit wedding gifts. $200,000 you collected. And you were planning to divorce in. Checked my notes. 2 more months. Convenient timing. David stood. Lowly. Like he'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. Elizabeth, tell me the truth. Right now. Was our marriage real? She didn't answer. Couldn't meet his eyes. Oh my God. David's voice broke. Oh my God, it was all fake. The wedding. The vows. Everything. David, if you'd just listen. Get out. He roared it. Get out of my mother's house. Elizabeth grabbed her purse. Ran for the door. We heard it slam. David sank back into his chair. Head in his hands. Michelle started to speak. Mom, I don't know where you got that information, but... I turned to her. I was awake, Michelle. That night you were on the phone with Elizabeth. I heard every word. About how you'd stretch it another 6 months in my house. About how I'd eventually buy you a condo. About how this was the easiest money ever. Her face went red. You were spying. In my own house. And I'm glad I did. I pulled out the final document. This is an irrevocable trust. As of 3 days ago, my house, my business, and my assets are protected. After my death, you'll each receive the legal minimum required by Washington state. Not a cent more. Everything else goes to charity. Silence. Complete silence. Mom, Michelle's voice was small. You can't be serious. Michelle and Tyler, you have 15 days left to find housing. The eviction stands. David. Michelle turned to her brother. Tell her she's being crazy. Tell her. But David wasn't listening. He was still staring at the photographs. His whole world shattered in front of him. Tyler stood. Come on, Michelle. Let's get out of here. Michelle stood too. Tears streaming down her face. But I saw something else there. Anger. Calculation. You're going to regret this, she said. When you're old and alone and need help, don't come crying to us. I won't need to. I have 15 days of peace ahead, and then a lifetime of it. They left. The door slammed again. Just David and me. He looked up. His eyes were red. Mom, I'm sorry. For what? For everything. For not seeing what Elizabeth was. For pressuring you about money. For not noticing what Michelle was doing. He laughed bitterly. I thought I was so smart. Investment analyst. But I couldn't see I was being played. I sat down next to him. David, you fell in love. Or what you thought was love. People do terrible things for money. $200,000 in wedding gifts. He shook his head. I helped her collect them. I thanked people for their generosity. And the whole time. What will you do? Divorce. Obviously. And fast. Before she can claim any more. He looked at me. The house we were buying. The $80,000 I asked you for. That was her idea, wasn't it? She wanted more money before filing. Probably. He stood. I should go. You need to. I need to think. He paused at the door. Mom, thank you for showing me. It hurts like hell, but thank you. After he left, I sat alone in my dining room. The good china. The photographs scattered across the table. The trust documents. My phone buzzed. Text from Michelle. This isn't over. You're going to pay for what you did tonight. I deleted it. Blocked her number. 15 more days. Then silence. And peace. Then my life finally truly mine. Day 29. 1 day left. I hired a locksmith to come at 8 a.m. on day 30. Arranged for the sheriff's department to be present at 9 a.m. Catherine Morrison would arrive at 9:30 as my legal representation. Everything coordinated. Everything official. The final 24 hours were the worst. Michelle and Tyler spent the entire day moving things. But slowly. Deliberately slowly. Making as much noise as possible. Slamming doors. Dropping furniture. Tyler accidentally backed his truck into my mailbox. The post split in half. Photographed it. Documented it. Sent it to Catherine. Around 8 p.m. Michelle knocked on my door. I answered through the security camera. Mom, we need more time. This is inhumane. You've had 30 days. We can't find anything affordable. You're putting us on the street. Tyler has a job interview, you told me. Figure it out. I'm your daughter. Yes. And you called this the easiest money you've ever made. Time to make money the hard way. Her face contorted. I hate you. I actually hate you. Noted. You have 12 hours. I turned off the camera. That night I didn't sleep at all. I sat in my office, watching the guest house through my window. Lights on until 4 a.m. Figures moving back and forth. Loading vehicles. Around 5 a.m. everything went quiet. At 7:45 a.m. I walked outside. Their vehicles were gone. The guest house door was open. I walked over slowly, carefully. They'd left. But they'd destroyed the place first. Holes punched in walls. Kitchen cabinets torn off hinges. Bathroom mirror shattered. Carpet ripped up in sections. Paint splattered across the living room. Thousands of dollars in damage. I photographed everything. Every single detail. Sent it all to Catherine. Her response came immediately. Document everything. Save all photos. We may pursue legal action for damages. The locksmith arrived at 8. Changed every lock on the main house and the guest house. New keys. New codes. New security. The sheriff's deputy arrived at 9. Deputy Thompson. Professional. Efficient. Mrs. Harrison, I'm here to ensure the eviction is completed and to witness the property condition. I showed him through the guest house. His expression darkened as he saw the damage. Ma'am, this is criminal mischief. Possibly felony vandalism depending on the damage estimate. Do you want to press charges? Let me consult with my attorney. Catherine arrived 20 minutes later. We walked through again together. She photographed everything from legal angles. Measurements. Documentation. Margaret, the damage here is easily $30,000 to repair. Maybe more. You have grounds for a civil suit and potentially criminal charges. Will we win? Absolutely. The evidence is overwhelming. They had 30 days' notice. This was deliberate destruction. Do it. File everything. She nodded. I'll have papers ready by tomorrow. By noon it was done. The house was secure. Michelle and Tyler were gone. The trust was protected. My assets were safe. I stood in my living room. My actual living room, not a room occupied by hostile family members, and felt something I hadn't felt in 3 years. That evening I received 3 phone calls. First, from David. Mom, I filed for divorce this morning. My lawyer says it's going to be ugly. Elizabeth is claiming she deserves half of everything, including the wedding gifts. But we have the photographs. We have evidence of fraud. My lawyer thinks we'll win. I hope you do, sweetheart. And Mom. Sorry. For everything. For not seeing what was happening. For pressuring you. For not protecting you from Michelle. You were dealing with your own problems. Still, I should have noticed. I should have helped. We talked for an hour. Really talked. For the first time in years, maybe ever, David and I had an honest conversation about money, family expectations, disappointments. When this is over, he said, I'd like to see you more. Real visits. Not asking for money. Just family. I'd like that too. The second call was from a number I didn't recognize. I answered cautiously. Margaret Harrison. A woman's voice. Yes. This is Ashley Morrison. I'm Tyler's ex-wife. I just heard he's been living with your daughter for 3 years. Yes. Did he pay you rent? No. She laughed bitterly. Of course not. He lived off me for 5 years. Drained my savings. Never held a job more than 3 months. I finally divorced him 2 years ago. I just wanted to warn you, if he owes you money, good luck collecting. He's judgment-proof. No assets, no income, nothing. Thank you for calling, Ashley. Watch out for Michelle too. If she's anything like Tyler, she learned from him. They deserve each other. The third call came at 10 p.m. Unknown number. Answered. Heavy breathing. Hello. You think you won. Michelle's voice. Blurred. Drunk. You think you're so smart. Michelle, don't call me again. I'm your daughter. You can't just throw me away like garbage. You called me a wallet. You called this easy money. You destroyed my property. We're done. You'll regret this. When you're dying alone in that house. Hung up. Blocked the number. Poured myself a glass of wine. Robert's favorite Cabernet. Sat on my back deck overlooking Lake Washington. The water was dark. Peaceful. The lights of Seattle glittered across the sound. My house. My life. My peace. Tomorrow I'd get repair estimates for the guest house. File the civil suit. Press charges if Catherine recommended it. Tomorrow I'd start living again. Tonight, I'd celebrate the silence. 3 months later. The guest house had been repaired. $43,000 in damages. Catherine filed a civil suit against Michelle and Tyler. They didn't respond. We won a default judgment. Collection would be difficult. Ashley had been right about Tyler being judgment-proof, but we had it on record. David's divorce was finalized. Elizabeth tried claiming half the wedding gifts, but the photographs destroyed her credibility. The judge ruled in David's favor. He recovered $150,000 of the $200,000. The rest had been spent, probably by Elizabeth preparing for her planned divorce. The man in the photographs. We never found out who he was. Elizabeth refused to say. It didn't matter anymore. I'd converted the guest house into a home office. Expanded the business. Hired 2 new analysts. Harrison and Associates was thriving. On a Saturday morning in January, I met Jennifer Cole for coffee. The photographer. We'd talked several times since that day in her studio. Margaret, I've been thinking, she said, stirring her latte. What you went through, standing up to family, protecting yourself, that took real courage. It took desperation. No. She shook her head. It took strength. Most people would have caved. Given them the money. Kept the peace. You chose yourself. It cost me my daughter. Did it? Or did you just stop funding her exploitation of you? Smiled. You sound like my therapist. You're seeing a therapist. Started 2 months ago. Catherine recommended it. Turns out spending 3 years being manipulated leaves some emotional scars. How's it going? Good. Hard but good. I'm learning to set boundaries. Learning that no is a complete sentence. Learning that family isn't an excuse for abuse. Jennifer raised her coffee cup. To boundaries. I clinked mine against hers. To boundaries. That afternoon David stopped by. He'd been coming every Sunday. No requests, no asks, just visits. We made dinner together. Pasta. Salad. His recipe. He was learning to cook. Mom, I want to tell you something, he said as we sat down to eat. I've been going to therapy too. Working through everything. The marriage. The betrayal. My relationship with money. Good. And I realized something. I treated you like Elizabeth treated me. Like an ATM. Like someone who existed to fund my life. I'm sorry. David. No, let me finish. I'm 36 years old. I make good money. I didn't need you to pay for my wedding. I didn't need you to help with a condo down payment. I didn't need any of it. I wanted it. And I felt entitled to it. That was wrong. I reached across the table. Took his hand. Thank you for saying that. I want to pay you back. The wedding, the down payment, all of it. David, you don't need to. I do. Not because I have to. 'Cause I want to. Because it's right. He squeezed my hand. Let me do this. Let me prove I've changed. We worked out a payment plan. Reasonable. Fair. Not because I needed the money but because he needed to do it. That evening after David left, I sat in Robert's chair. My chair now. The leather had worn to a perfect comfort. I thought about the past year. The wedding. The photographs. The eviction. The trust. The confrontation. The aftermath. I'd lost a daughter maybe. Michelle had sent one text since the eviction 6 weeks ago. I'm pregnant. You're going to be a grandmother. But you'll never meet your grandchild. I deleted it. If it was true, I felt sad for that child. If it was manipulation, I felt sad for Michelle. But I didn't feel guilty. I'd gained myself back. My home. My peace. My boundaries. My phone rang. Unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. Margaret Harrison. Yes. This is Carolyn Peters. I'm a friend of Jennifer Cole's. She told me about your situation. Not details. Just that you'd successfully protected yourself from financial exploitation. I'm going through something similar with my own family. Would you be willing to talk? Maybe share advice? Smiled. Yes. I'd be happy to talk. We scheduled coffee for the following week. After hanging up, I poured myself wine. Walked out to the back deck. The February air was cold but clear. Stars visible above Lake Washington. Robert would be proud, I thought. Not of the conflict. Not of the broken relationships. But of the strength. The boundaries. The self-respect. I'd spent 40 years building a business. Building wealth. Building a life. I'd spent 3 years letting people exploit it. I'd spent 6 months taking it all back. And now I was living it. Actually living. Not existing. Not funding other people's lives. Living my own. My phone buzzed. Text from David. Thank you for dinner. Love you, Mom. Proud of you. I typed back. Love you too, sweetheart. In the guest house, my office now, the lights were off. Tomorrow I'd go in, review client portfolios, plan expansions. Tonight, I'd sit here in the cold air and appreciate the silence. Peace. The freedom. I raised my wine glass to the stars, to Robert's memory, to myself. I did it, I whispered. I actually did it. And for the first time in years I felt completely, truly free. The house was mine. The business was mine. The future was mine. And that was worth everything.